Hey guys, Chris here with Work to Game, and today I'm going to sit down and go over the 4.2 Watch trailer. But I want to take a moment and say that I am not a story guy. In every RPG I play, I usually skip a lot of the longer cutscenes, if not all of the cutscenes, depending on the game. And Brian is that guy here on the channel. But we've been talking about how great the story's been in Stormblood, and I'm starting to get a little more engaged. And so what I've done with this trailer is I've actually gone to, like Final Fantasy Wiki and all that, and I'm actually trying to read on all of these different characters, and I've watched other people's videos on this, and so I'm just going to be going through that from that point of view. Just everything I've learned. Definitely feel free to expand on that in the comments below. With that, let's go ahead and get started. Now, the video opens up on Yatsuyo. She suffered a terrible childhood under her parents, eventually trading on her people to become a Garlean spy for Galvus. She then, through the events of Stormblood, is actually holding court in a fishing village where she's trying to weed out traitors and undesirables. At this point, the Confederacy kind of rises up to fight the Imperials off. She orders her forces to fight to the death. That doesn't work out. She's trying to explain her reasons for siding with the Empire and has to escape on a makeshift raft. At this point, after the events of Doma, we see that there's starting to be a shift in her where she sounds a little more like she's a child. And in the beginning here, where she's looking into this piece saying, wow, it's so beautiful, it is interesting that she kind of notes, who am I, and all of that. So we don't know if there's kind of an amnesia there or if some kind of mental break has taken place. So is she the person that we should not like, or is she somebody that will now be an ally of some sort? We'll just have to see how that plays out over the storyline. Remember, I'm not the expert in this. I'm just relying on what I've learned so far, so definitely feel free to expand on that in those comments below. Now, next we flash to the Phantom Train. This is not unexpected, as we know that they were planning on making a tribute to Final Fantasy VI, and we can expect other tributes to Final Fantasy VI throughout this trailer and throughout this patch cycle. And the Phantom Train was originally translated as the Ghost Train back on the SNES release here in the US. It's the carrier of dead souls over to the afterlife, and is alive and talks. It looks like it's even appeared as bosses in previous games, some of the ones I haven't personally played, and will be making an appearance here as a boss scene. We fought on boats, we might as well fight on trains. That makes sense. We even see some flashes here where there appears to be multiple trains. We're fighting in multiple cabins. One of the unique things is that we see our adventurer fighting alone, which makes me wonder, okay, is that just for cinematic purposes, or is that indeed that you're going to be splitting that party up? Maybe the ghosts kind of pull people into different cars. Could be really cool. Could be a very fun fight. And we have also seen in games like Final Fantasy Unlimited that the Ghost Train was actually the interdimensional train that could be a tribute to kind of the mechanical creation of Sid. So there is definitely variations on this. I think that this will mostly be based on Final Fantasy VI, but that's not necessarily going to limit exactly what the team can pull from when looking at boss mechanics and other things surrounding the fact that they're starting to tie into Final Fantasy XIV tribute to all the other titles under Square Enix's umbrella. Now, the next thing you see is once again a Final Fantasy VI tribute, Chatteranuk, which comes from a demon possessing a painting of the Esper Lakshmi. This has a goddess and a demon forms. Looks like we might have both of those at the same time here. We'll just have to see. Now, we do see Doma being rebuilt. This is a nice tribute to both where we are in our storyline in Stormblood, but also going back to Final Fantasy VI, which looks like it was mostly focused on the conflict between the Gastalian Empire and a faction opposing them known as the Returners, which the people that ran Doma at the time were sympathetic to. And so it makes sense that that would be brought back. That's going to play a big role in the bosses we see here in just a bit. Now, the first dungeon they show appears to be Hell's Lid. This is going to all tie into the 4 primals, which we've gone over into the live letter, expecting it to end with Byaku, which is a white tiger. Now, a white tiger sounds like a pretty basic fight, but it appears to have a demon form, standing tall, looking jacked, looking like he did his P90X right before this fight, so definitely looking forward to seeing maybe a couple different phases. It's always nice to have mechanics that kind of shift over the duration of a fight to give a lasting appeal to a dungeon, since we are getting kind of less dungeons as these patches progress. And if you keep an eye out, you do actually see the submarine there. We know that those are going to be the new kind of form of an airship, so it's nice to see a little brief tribute to what that's going to look like. And these fights look visually amazing. The fire boss looks fantastic. I cannot wait to see what these look like. This is just an absolute tribute to how the game is moving forward with technology as we start to see things like, you know, platforms getting dropped and spec levels going up and things like the Mac version struggling, which is a separate conversation. It's nice to see that we're getting something for that and that the game is going to be visually impressive, that it looks like the mechanics are going to be plenty demanding on your machine, and that means that the fight should just have a lot of fun to it. You shouldn't be able to just stand there and tank and spank. It looks like we may actually have something that takes a little more than a day to master. Now, Byaku's fight also looks like it's going to have several phases to it, both tossing us up in the air and then actually dropping us back onto the ground, where we're going to have to run from different kinds of like balls or something, and then there's going to be explosions everywhere, and it just looks like it is going to be absolute chaos. And this is what we want these to be, especially if they've already told us that what this fight is the first of a set of 4. So it is nice to see that they have made this plenty interesting. Should be a lot of fun to learn, especially as we start to see kind of harder modes come out. Can't wait for this to be a challenge. Now, the next images we see obviously look like they're going to be Eureka, which we know is not until 4.25. But what I find interesting here is actually that I see an Aetheryte. So this looks like it's getting its own zone in addition to an instance portal. So some of it will be behind the instance, but some of it actually looks like it might have its own area. Maybe kind of like PvP is, where there is an area where that all centers for vendors and things like that. I don't know, I just thought that was exciting to see them going ahead and paying a tribute to something that's not even in this patch, but is upcoming. Hopefully this means that they're giving this enough thought that it will last a little longer than Diadem has. Those have kind of been short-term content, and so it would be interesting to see if they could find something here, since this is tied players 1 to 8, so plenty big group sizes, and then there are some interesting big fights that are supposed to be tied in. This is how we're going to get the new relic gear. It's supposed to have its own form of progression, so maybe they're kind of combining some form of like deep dungeon and a little bit of relic gear, and we have some details coming out. Not necessarily the time to go over that, but if you watch either of our 4.2 videos, there is plenty of information trickling out there of what this could look like, what they have confirmed, and give us a feel for what Eureka is going to be. If 4.2 doesn't get you excited, 4.25 should definitely round it out. Now at this point we are jumping through main storyline. This is going to just give us little tributes to which characters are going to be involved, show us the fact that there will be the new Beast Tribe quests, and then we're actually going to be looking at these doors opening to carry us into Fractal Continuum. Now Nero's face gets cut in here quite a bit over the remainder of this video, but we do see mixed into the Fractal Continuum is possibly some Sigmascape. It's some interesting editing here. I don't know if they're trying to throw us or if they're just trying to amp up all the exciting footage, because both of these look to be very visually impressive. This is a lot of AoE in some of these clips, which implies that it would be for large group content. That would be a lot for just a 4-man. So I think that they're just trying to get us amped up and say that the storyline is Nero showing that he's a bit tired of all this and he's ready for some shenanigans. Now, as somebody new to following all this storyline, because it's getting really interesting, I find Nero kind of a confusing character. He basically is somebody who looks to have joined, you know, the Garlean Empire to fight and enslave Eorzea. But then as we move into Stormblood, Nero is hired by Jesse to be part of the team, which Cid seems to be against, and that sounds like something I would side with. And he actually, alongside Cid, Biggs, and Wedge, are subjugated to tests by Omega, and when Omega nearly kills Biggs and Wedge, he actually helps Cid take them to the Conjurer's Guild to be healed. So maybe he's in it with us to just take on a common enemy, and then he'll turn heel on us later. This is something that I look forward to digging into more, and definitely add some depth to what we're seeing here. Now we're back into boss fights, and this is a boss that looks to be stealing abilities from other bosses, but more importantly looks to be telegraphing those onto the screens behind us, with kind of a Tetris type feel with what you're currently dealing with as well as what you will be dealing with next. And what I'm most excited about this from standpoint outside of storyline is that this is actually looks like it could be a fight that changes every single time you do it. Now we see Nero getting out his big hammer, ready to lose control, and then we see Alpha, our little baby Chocobo character here, getting a nice little Astrologian card above the head there. Interesting to see which class that is. And we start going into concept sketches. These are absolutely stunning, but they're not telling us a whole crazy lot. It sounds like we're wrapping up the end of this lovely trailer they've given us here. And sure enough, Rise of the New Sun, Final Fantasy Patch 4.2, but if you look very closely as you watch this, the link to the original video is in the description below, you'll see that we still have time left. So let's go ahead and wait for that little after the title spoiler, the same reason you stay in movies to watch after the credits. And this creepy clown appears, and that is actually Kefka Palazzo from Final Fantasy VI. This is the final boss of that game and will most likely be the final boss of this patch cycle. Does give us some exciting heads up on where things like Savage modes could be headed. We definitely know that we know how the fight went last time, and so it is interesting to see with a tribute to this what their take on it will be. And that does actually wrap up this trailer, ending with Kefka's Tower. This does seem like this is going to be an exciting patch. I've read up a little bit more than I had expected to, learning a little bit more about story, and hopefully you guys are starting to get into the story behind this game. It is absolutely amazing how much time they put into this, and I'm ready to just spend a little more time getting to know kind of what the reason I've been attacking all these people has been over the last several patch cycles, where I am just willing to point and shoot. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Chris with Work to Game, and I'll see you next time.
Hey guys, it's me. Thanks so much for watching this video, and we hope to see you on our next.
Is there anywhere you think they could see us in the meantime?
Well, right now you probably can catch us out on Twitch. We usually stream quite a lot. So the link is in the description below for our Twitch page. And if you guys want to support us and you like what we do here on YouTube, you can actually support us for free by using your Twitch Prime sub if you're Amazon Prime.